Do we have Lakshmi ma'am here? Good evening, Lakshmi ma'am. Is Lakshmi ma'am here from Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham?
Not yet, ma'am.
Yes. Hello, Devyani ma'am. Good evening.
Good
I hope
evening,
I'm
Lakshmi
audible.
ma'am.
Yeah. Good evening.
I was just texting. So
I joined, but I was not having the permissions. Now it's okay.
now I hope it's fine now. So we have a very, very esteemed panel today. I will be formally introducing. We have from Delhi World School, Public School, Ajmer, we have Mr. Bhanu Pratap Pant. And
Hello, everyone.
yeah. So these are a collaborative initiative between Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham University and Edudevs. We are co-partners in bringing about awareness and through our various initiatives, whether they are awareness campaigns like, webinars, or if when we do our master classes for science teachers, or we do in-school programs like teacher conclaves, student development programs, we are, moving together in this journey to bring awareness about the education, post-national education policy. And lovely to have you with us. So it's a pleasure and an honor to have you with us.
My pleasure, my privilege.
Thank you so much. And I know the topic is something that even though it started with COVID, but the Vuca world has ever since been there for last a decade and will continue. And I think it's very important to talk to everyone about how education is undergoing the change. And we have with us Ms. Lakshmi Madhavan, who is a professor and a career counselor at Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham University. So this is a joint initiative, and ma'am has been with us on a number of webinars, a highly insightful person. And over to you, Lakshmi ma'am.
So yeah, I'm really happy to be a part of this session. So this is my journey. I have been here with Edudevs. I think it's more than 1 year.
More than that. I think more than that. It was
more than that. We have been doing sessions collaboratively. So my knowledge is also, I'm able to improve from my side also. So really happy to be part of this.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you so much. And we are just waiting for another panelist, Salla ma'am. I think there is a tech issue. And it is already 4:02, and normally we try and Team Edudevs, do you think we can start with playing the AV of Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham University as a ritual, and then we wait for our other panelists? Are our student panelists here? We have with us Ms. Zuha Jafri, class 12 students, stayed Setanandram Japuria School, Lucknow. We have Drishti Kotari, class 12, Meridian School, Madhapur. Wow, that's so beautiful. I feel so good when we have people across country representing and taking part in this deliberation. It feels so good. Alka ma'am, can we have the AV, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, team Edudevs. And I must say, Dr. Lakshmi, that it's always such a pleasure looking at this campus. And every time I look at this video, I'm so tempted and motivated to visit your campus. And soon I shall. I'll keep waiting for your invite. Without much ado, let me get on to starting with the deliberations on our today's webinar. You see, there is a Chinese saying that goes, "May you live in interesting times." To say that the past few years have been interesting, challenging, paradigm shattering, and of course, unprecedented would be understatement. We've seen a lot, from disasters to COVID, which again was a disaster, to wars, but the race kept on surviving. The definition of normal changes every day, and we were required to navigate these uncharted waters. The term, the Vuca world, that set in, I will explain the term a little later, the Vuca world that set in the post a threat to the systemic ways of our existence. And nowhere was this felt more than it was felt in the education world. But like the proverbial phoenix, schools led by the inspiring leaders, principals, and like the many seated in front of me, they all rose to the occasion. The entire structures and organizations were made to shift to a whole new, reality, and proved to the world that schools are indeed agile learning systems and not moribund behemoths. I know that technology had been seeping in schools maybe about a decade and a half, but we were very lazy to accept it. The use of technology and other things were left to the computer teachers, the scientific path. But overnight, we became, the schools rose to the occasion. Coming to the term Vuca world, and coming to the topic, transforming education in the Vuca world, we see that this term, which stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, it captures the essence of the era we are currently experiencing. Every day, we are exposed to either a new challenge or a new invention, whether it is a war in the Central Asia, or it is an invention like ChatGPT, or it is a metaverse education. We are every day looking at something or the other which is new. Why I said was volatility. It refers to speed, scale, magnitude of change that is occurring around us. Things are evolving at a very, very different pace. Uncertainty refers to the lack of clarity about the future outcomes or the states or how the world is going to function. Complexity involves dealing with multiple interconnected factors. There is a development somewhere, it impacts us, whether it is a war or it is a development in the world of artificial intelligence, or just about anything. There is a lot of interconnectedness. Things don't stand alone. There are no blacks and whites. And ambiguity, definitely. A lack of clarity about cause and effect relationships and the meaning of various phenomena. For example, I was talking to when I come to my office, ChatGPT seems to be the biggest boom. The moment I walk into the schools, the teachers talk about the biggest threat as it is killing the creativity. These and so many other questions we will be addressing today. So I'm very delighted to welcome you all to yet another episode of our Futuristic Education. These are, let me tell you, a web series dedicated to education, an initiative of and empower the education community in the education trends of the future. We often pick a city so that each city can exhibit their issues, their styles of working, their challenges, their aspirations, and their achievements. And today, we are fortunate. We are in the city of Ajmer, a city-based web series. We have edu leaders who will reflect upon what it means to be transforming education in the Vuca world. I am Devyani Kapoor, your host and moderator for today. And without much ado, let me quickly introduce you to our esteemed and special panel. We have with us Mr. Bhanu Pratap Pant, Principal, Delhi World Public School. Served as a principal for over 16 years across the various residential and day schools, including Hilltop School, Dalhousie Presidency School, Ajmer, Raffles International School, Alwar, LPS School, Global School, Noida, and I don't know, the list is going on and on. And we welcome you, sir, to this episode.
Thank you so much.
We have with us from Sadhguru International School, a senior academic advisor, Ms. Sarla Naidu, 56 years into education, principal for 25 years as a teacher at St. Mary's High Secondary School, Ajmer, lecturer at Sophia College. Ma'am, and as I read your profile, I feel that you're an institution in itself. And I'm sure you will be able to let us know how there has been this paradigm shift in the whole, education world. You've seen, I would say, the education starting from education 1.0 and entering into education 5.0. Welcome, ma'am. And ma'am is a senior academic advisor at Sadhguru International School, Ajmer, and is part of their managing committee. We welcome you, ma'am. Is ma'am with us? Has she joined? We also have with us my collaborator, someone whom I'm very fond of, Miss Lakshmi Madhavan. She is Assistant Manager, Career Counseling, Directorate of Admissions and Academic Outreach, Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham Coimbatore. Miss Lakshmi comes with 6.5 years of experience in the field. She has 4 years of teaching experience for the computer science. She also has taken trainings for entrance exams in LET, CAT, loves taking sessions, which of course I see, and I am so sold out to Lakshmi. And I love people who are young, dynamic in education, because they bring, when I'm reading their profiles, I feel so passionate that, these are the people who are the trendsetters and who know the current beat of the, system. We welcome you, Lakshmi, to this episode. And of course, continuing with our new tradition created in our recent webinars, we have with us a youth panel. We have specially introduced this as these young students. We are talking about skills in Vuca world. So these are young students. We hone their skills, we give them a short training, and often these are the students, we give them that opportunity to co-host the panelists, the webinar with us. Today we have with us Miss Zuha Jafri, class 12, student from school Saint Anandram, Jaipuria School. Welcome, Zuha. And I'm so happy and glad that you'll be moderating with me. We have with Ms. Drishti Kothari, again class 12 student from Meridian School, Madhapur. Welcome, Drishti. I hope you all are here. Great, thank you so much. And now, coming to our ice-breaking question, transforming education for a VUCA world is a no small feat. As I said earlier, it requires systemic changes to curricula, to pedagogical strategies, and even our perceptions of education itself. How we perceive education. Is it just education for livelihood, or are we creating education for life? However, by nurturing adaptive learners, fostering emotional intelligence, embracing technology, promoting collaboration, and encouraging global citizenship, we can equip our students with the tools they need to navigate through the VUCA world. And my question to our panelists today is exactly the same. I would request you in this order. This is an ice-breaking question. Same question will be addressed to all our panelists. We go and the time, I would say, don't exceed about 2 minutes because there's so much that we are going to talk about. The order that we'll follow will be, we'll start with Mr. Bhanu Pratap Pant, then move on to Ms. Lakshmi, then Ms. Sarla, and then I would also take a bite from our student panelists today. So my question to all our panelists today is that, do you remember any skill or any knowledge that you wish you had learned in the school, which probably would have helped you better prepared to meet these uncertainties and complexities of today's world? Because I personally get to see so many things which I feel that I wish I had learned this in school. So yes, Mr. Pratap, all ears to you.
Good evening, Devyani ma'am. It was so nice the way you have started and laid the foundation for today's panel discussion. Well, this wonderful question which you have asked, that what is a particular skill which I developed during my school time, which is very valid and is very helpful and should be shared with everyone. Of course, there are so many which are coming to my mind, but I will take to resilience. You know, resilience is the most important 21st century skill which the school must talk about. And I will associate this with our cross-country run, which was mandatory and compulsory for all children at Mayo College, Ajmer.
Okay.
It was quite a long run, but the purpose behind it was not to give up. It was a hard terrain. And later, when I became a teacher in Mayo College, very passionately, I used to be taking up this activity and wanted everybody basically to continue and not to give up. And if you do not leave, I think you always reach the destination where a destiny has basically already decided that one would be reaching. That is actualizing and potentializing your gifts, which nature has bestowed upon. So I would like to take this up in such a way that the first thing which in the VUCA world people think about is denial. And the opposite of denial is acceptance. And acceptance comes when we are ready to adapt and we are ready to adopt. And we will accept. So the world is changing, and I will take it in such a way that life is all about movement. Life is all about change. And when it comes to having stability or stop, it is only signifying to death. So yes. This world basically comes as an opportunity for us to sharpen ourselves, to to accept the changes, and definitely go with resilience, strong resilience, strong willpower, so we reach our destination.
Great. Thank you so much. Chris, bang on, and so beautifully you said that resilience is that one standalone skill which is going to take you forward. And second, it's not just about adopting, it's also about adapting. You adopt, but then you adapt. So it's all about, if you want to go far, you don't have to just adopt, you have to think, immerse into it, and adapt that change and accept. So I think, thank you, sir. There hadn't been a better answer than this. It was, and the way you related it to the cross-country run. Yes, I mean, that would have, that resilience which you probably imbibed at that time was that one skill which made you reach where you are. And I'm sure not just teachers, principals, but students are also here. And you stand as a living example of a skill of resilience, which is a part of Vuca. Thank you so much. And we'll be more in conversations with you. Moving on to Lakshmi, what is your take on that? And you remember, I mean, I'm sure I'm an archaic person, and for me to think about going back into, school and colleges in 70s, but you're a fresh, a youth educator, you could. So what is it that you would have missed it, or you would have imbibed, where you felt that, oh yes, like sir said, that this skill came handy? Did you miss out on any skill?
So for me, yeah, thank you, Devyani ma'am, and thank you, sir. So thank you for giving this opportunity. I'm really happy to be a part of it. So coming to the question, so one thing I would, so looking back into my school days, one thing I would always keep on thinking is, this might be different. It's something called the thinking ability, like critical thinking and decision making. This is something which was very important for me, because I have made drastic changes from my school days itself for each and every part, maybe in my career decisions, everywhere I have made these changes. So I want to analyze things, whatever is happening. So this is something which is very, very important even today, because we are living in a situation, we don't know what's going to happen at the next point of time. So this is something which is very, very important. Having a self-analysis, able to understand the things, having that capability to take the decision, having that questioning. There are a lot of resources that's available for every one of us, and that makes it even more confusing. So having that skill that helped me to take a decision, that's something which is very, very important. And I feel like in my journey that has improved a lot. From a 10th standard student to a 12th standard student, I was a bio student. I've taken biology. I went to a college for BSc botany for 2 months. Then I did my BTech. So drastic changes have happened based on my interest and all. So this is something which is very important for every student, understanding the situation, taking a decision, being responsible. That's my take on this.
Great. Thank you so much, Lakshmi. Very well said. And I think it's so beautiful that I'm sure our audience would have an immense takeaway from this session. So Lakshmi says that for her, it was during her journey, critical thinking and her power to decision making, because I think that's so important, because every day is a new day for us. And every day we are called in to make certain decisions, to have that critical thinking ability to, and I personally, though of course I'm a moderator, but I was so tempted to talk about my skills. And definitely, adding on to this, I feel that for me, the art of discernment, along with that is a part of critical thinking, and trying to problem solving. These were the two skills which I felt I picked up, where at that time, these terms never existed when I was young, that, these terms, we did not know about it. They were only dictionary terms and not so for me, discernment, the ability to differentiate between what is it that I want, what is it that is important for me, that skill. And working towards it. So decision making, discernment was a very important skill. So I think that's such a big platter of from resilience to adopt and adapt to critical thinking and decision making. And as I said, that for me, the art of discernment was and problem solving were the two key skills. I also have with me my student moderators. So Zuha, let me just quickly, can I just have you, what are those, that one skill which you feel was, I'm sure there would be many skills because that's why you're here on this platform today, amongst hundreds of students that who keep writing to us that they want to moderate the show. So I'm sure some skill would be there. Zuha, what was it for you? And Drishti, what was it for you?
Thank you, ma'am, for giving us this opportunity. Ma'am, for me, I think leadership skills and interpersonal skills are very important for students because at certain point in life, we have to work in groups and we should maintain a certain relationship with all the students. So I think interpersonal skills and communicative skills are very important for students.
Great, Zuha.
Thank you, ma'am.
Very good. Communication and interpersonal skills. Absolutely. I think that's the biggest skill in today's. If you have an interpersonal skill, you can create a community around you. You can create a support system around you. Great. Kudos to you. Drishti, let's hear you out in 1 minute.
I completely agree with what Zuha has said. But I also think being creative is also very important because, people won't buy or do anything if you're not creative when it comes to science, when it comes to math, when it comes to anything, architecture or anything. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I feel so proud when I see the young students come and share the stage. And, this was a deliberate attempt why we brought in the student element in this webinar was because we said that we are talking about education. And whom are we talking about? We're talking about for students. So why not bring the community here? Why not ask them to be part of this community? And let me also tell you the student element who are here. Edudevs has started the Baatcheet Cafe. This is a podcast of youth, by the youth, for the youth. And the tagline is the podcast for turning life problems into laws and crushing life challenges. So be part of it. Join on our Instagram, the Baatcheet Cafe. Moving on further now, we move on to the next round. I think Sarla ma'am has not been able to join, but the discussion continues. We move on to another segment where each panelist, we discuss a perspective with that panelist. And my first question would be to Mr. Pant. So, Mr. Pant, let us know that, curricular has been changing and it should change because of these changes in the world. How would you suggest to better prepare the students? Of course, you did talk about resilience, but now I really want a perspective on this where you let us know that how a strong curriculum would support the development of the students and prepare them to this VUCA world. Ji, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Well, when it comes to designing a curriculum, then we of course have to look at that what is the learning objective it is sufficing. And curriculum in education basically should be touching and covering all aspects of holistic education. Now, as far as the values were concerned, as far as the aim and the objective of education to be a good human being was concerned, what it used to be, what it is, and what it is going to be is going to stay the same. There are various 21st century skills which are coming up, which everybody should be very much familiar with. And more than the functional skills, the 21st century skills, everybody should be able to adopt it and should be able to use it and live with it. as they progress in their journey of life. Now, this has to play a very important role in sufficing the delivery of educational curricula. Now, here comes the time when, because of lack of resources or sometimes due to lack of willpower, we are finding resistance, among various stakeholders. And when we talk about stakeholders, I think the one who have the responsibility to deliver education and impart education, which is teachers and school, plus the students, because of course there are netizens. It is much easier for them to adapt to the new things, which are necessary. That is the blended way of learning, digital technology. And of course, when we are able to aid learning through various different ways, which are now emerging up, which of course is a boon of the pandemic, it has to be welcomed, it has to be accepted, it has to be really worked upon, and the skills have to be developed. And most important, the assessment patterns.
Absolutely.
Assessment patterns, that how much learning is happening. So these are the things, one should be really working on with keeping the Vuca vocabulary, where when we say C, which becomes complex. So I would like to change this C into other 4 C's. That is definitely collaborate, cooperate, care for others, so that we have a very compassionate approach towards delivering education. If this thing comes, the entire definition and the entire outlook towards Vuca world will change. And that is how we should be approaching that. We know that change is the constant, which will always be there. It was there earlier. Now it is changing much faster. The changes which are coming are definitely, we have to move out from a comfort zone, and knowing that it is the need of the hour, we have to, again, I repeat, collaborate, cooperate, care for everyone, and with compassion, take to education.
I think very well said that, we need to convert, in fact, not just the C, the V part also. I mean, I was very tempted to, like, from volatility to probably a vision, and, the C that you spoke about, collaboration instead of uncertainty, to collaboration and cooperation. And, we need to convert this Vuca to our own terminologies and definitions, that from the negative Vuca world to the term Vuca becoming a positive connotation with, and, I'm sure because the human race has always stood the test of, emerging from any kind of disastrous situations like we've done so many times. So this Vuca world needs to be, and when you talk about skill set, I would want you to continue on this, because you spoke about not the curriculum becoming modified, in which the assessment, because assessment is something where somewhere as educators, we go back to our, little traditional patterns. And what happens is the parent mindset also then remains connected to that traditional, kitne number, kya. So wo jo skill development hai, it sometimes gets lost, or probably it's hidden under the carpet because our assessment pattern is. So suppose in your school, curriculum in classrooms are transforming, they are changing, hybrid learning is being seeping in, and blended learning is coming in, flipped models are coming in, which is right. But how many of us have changed? Or probably I want to hear your story. Life is all about stories. And how in your school, the emerging story is shaping, that how the assessment patterns are undergoing changes, because your thoughts might be an inspiration and a roadmap to so many others who are watching this episode today. Yes.
Well, the most important thing is planning your lesson. If all the teachers are listening, I would like to repeat my statement. When it comes to maximizing learning, it is the responsibility of the teacher and your lesson has to be planned well. And as everybody is talking about in the present times, we have to have a shift from summative assessment towards formative assessments. And for formative assessment and ensuring that learning is maximizing, now lesson plans have more weightage. And then gone are the days when the teacher can say that I know my concept, I know my subject, and I can go and teach. It has to be planned minute to minute and period to period. And when it comes to assessing through formative techniques and formative tools, I would like to use the phrase that less is more. We have to choose among various tools which we have to pick up. And it also depends a lot on teachers' competency to make the subject, make the concept child-friendly. Because the stakeholder for what every activity is happening is the child, and the child should be enjoying, relishing. So whatever blend of technology which we are using, whatever information we are trying to pass on through different medium, or if we are using, as you have used so many wonderful words, which are now emerging in the classroom, it has to be well planned in advance. If at the junior level, if mock sessions have been done, if interaction between a peer has happened, this will help in making the classroom more effective, which is a need of the hour. Because the new generation is not having limitation to access to knowledge. Knowledge is available from everywhere. And there are service providers, that is why Vuca is now becoming more relevant than it had been ever since the was coined in the year 1987. So not only the teachers are making proper, effective, systematic, scientific lesson plans, but then when it comes to ambiguity of understanding the grades, students would be given in the process of assessment, it is very necessary for the level heads, for the headmasters, for the principals to see that lesson plans are well made, and then they're observed. Because what happens is that by nature, humans are resisting change. Whenever people ask us to change our style of functioning, there is initial resistance. It is complete opposite which we are expecting. We are expecting absolute acceptance because this is the need of the hour. Not only that we are planned, but then the feedback about our plan should be given to us. And this is not to bring us down. This is to make us more effective. And again, I would like to conclude that here the child was already gifted with those abilities which we have planned through our lesson planning, whether it had been in scholastic aspects or even for those who are not taking the scholastic aspect, but you are assessing the learning of the child, as one of the girls said, that it is interpersonal skills, it is critical thinking, which basically is helping us during these hours. So the feedback we should be open to. And again, our entire endeavor should be to maximize learning with new situation and use all the equipments, all the tools, all the artillery which is available, in the new world, which makes learning very interesting, which makes learning very, very inspirational, which makes learning very, very happy experience for the child.
Great, thank you so much, Mr. Pant, because I don't know about the audience, but if you would have seen me, I was diligent, even though I know the session is being recorded, I was actually taking down like notes because I think Sir gave us a whole roadmap. And if the educators are here, I mean, very important, as he said, that today you cannot go in the class, because I remember I would just walk in the class. I knew I had to teach the same thing. And over years, it was on my tips. But so for me, at that time also, content became less important, but how the delivery. But today, it's not at all about the content. It's all about making learning an experience, helping child learn the techniques of how to learn. So the role of the teacher in the VUCA world in transforming what we are talking about, the transforming, education in these times, it becomes so pertinent that, and as Sir said very well, and less is more. So your lesson plan does not need to be jotting down each and everything. It has to be a fair play of the kind of tools that you need to. So your choice of choosing, and you used a great term, choosing the art, your tools from the platter of artillery that you have, that artillery that, so you need to be aware that what tools, and then the tools I feel also for probably, differential teaching learning techniques. That's also something which we need to integrate. And thank you so much, sir. I think the session is going so well, and our audience are having a great takeaway. So I shall come back to you with more of information on this, because schools remain a living example, and your school, I know, is one of the top schools of Ajmer. I did a little research from somebody in Ajmer, and he says, yeah, oh, that's one of the top good schools. So I'm sure a lot of innovative and creative techniques would be happening there.
In fact, they say the beauty lies in the eye of the beholders, and we see beauty from the eyes of our parents.
So beautiful, so beautiful. And when a third person comes and talks about a school randomly, then that is the biggest marketing that is happening, because your children, they become your brand ambassadors. Kudos, wonderful. So moving on to Lakshmi. Lakshmi, now you come from, higher education. So there's a beautiful seamless transition which happens between Dr. Pant's, Mr. Pant's students and moving on to your universities. So how can we balance the need for a standardized testing? He spoke about feedbacks, testing, observations. And so when this has become extremely important, and there are many tools, many companies which are working on assessment and testing patterns, how can we balance the need for standardized testing with the need for more flexible and, personalized approach to education? So if you could, being, from a tech background, you could just help us understand more about assessment, and because teachers have very less time. Also, are there any tools? Are there, because defining the parameters, choosing the right kind of testing tools, they'll become extremely important in today's world. So if you could reflect and in detail on this. Thank you, Raj.
So yeah, actually, when it comes to the assessment method, it actually varies according to the course in our university. So basically, moving from the school, I hope I'm audible.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
ma'am.
So basically, moving from the school to a higher academic or maybe a UG perspective, there are different factors. It's not the earlier assessment method that students was familiar, something like the assignments or maybe the written test. We give in our university, every curriculum when you check, it's like a 60-40. 60 is like what they are doing. Anything, the projects they are doing, even if it's agricultural science, even if it's forensic, even if it's food science, that 60 is something that they are doing. It's like a practical way of thing or practical method of assessment that we are giving importance. And the rest theory or the concept is just the 40% that they have to write maybe in papers and all. And we do have this different portfolio presentations, something like of group projects, then something like performance-based assessment. So these are some of the methods which we are mostly focusing on. And even when it comes to the higher, we have an option for students to choose their method, whether they want to do this a practical thing or whether they want to do this as a theory thing. So we give that option to students also. We have different papers which are completely practical oriented. For the 6 months of that semester, that paper, they are doing something, a work which is outside the organization, maybe in a government organization or somewhere where they are working. So based on the report that is given by their higher officials, we are providing marks to the candidates. So these type of things happen in our university. So mostly the evaluation is different, and we give much importance to the practical things, especially for BTech the agricultural or forensic or all of that courses?
I'll go back to Sir and then come back to you. That, sir, we are talking about assessments, and assessment is definitely a parameter and a measurable parameter to assess the student learning outcomes. So how and the teachers are very burdened already with, no matter how CBSE slashes or reduces the syllabus, but there's always this rigor to complete the syllabus. In this kind of a scenario, what changes have happened in the testing patterns and what is the reality? Because I visit a lot of schools. We have a lot of schools are under our, they become knowledge partners where we work in capacity buildings under our Edudevs knowledge partner community. We work towards capacity building of these educators, even though the schools have all the tech and all these. How can seamlessly we integrate certain techniques, certain patterns, which will change the assessment pattern and not reduce it to, as you were talking about, from formative, summative to more emphasis on formative. But again, we do have this first semester, the second semester, September, February. How can we meet this challenge? My question is to Mr. Pant. Is Mr. Pant there? Lakshmi, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
I don't know whether Mr. Pant is.
I think,
Yes.
sir.
Well, I think I got disconnected. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm back, Yes.
No, absolutely. I was Lakshmi was talking about assessment, and I really wanted to shift to you on that. And I said that since you spoke about you spoke about assessment, and then you also spoke about that how more important should be given from summative to formative. But we still have that pattern of, first semester, second semester, and we have a syllabus checklist which the teacher has to complete. Also, we know that, okay, there should be differential teaching learning patterns. Webinar में बैठ के हम ये बात कर रहे हैं, but classroom में सर ये reality से कैसे integrate हो सकता है? आप जिस तरह you give us a roadmap, please let us know, our educators, how can they, work towards assessment patterns?
Yes, you see, now the new educational policy has been rolled out, and people are talking about age-appropriate learning, and they have divided into 4 parts. So I was lucky to have attended few of the workshops recently. Just 2 days back, there was a Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan's workshop which I went, and there were many takeaways when they're talking about literacy and numeracy at the foundation level. So they said, well, you see, it is the approach towards learning which has to be really monitored. And from the Anganwadi to the lower KG, upper KG stage, they have talked about not emphasizing on writing work at all, and then making them not only attain literacy, but critical thinking, being able to write and to be able to understand numeracy through comprehension should be emphasized. And instructions happening in such a way that the jargon of English should not be confusing the children. But when they are not supposed to write and the emphasis on writing is being removed at the most crucial time with the children, then there is more better chance, for the masses to have the experience of joyful learning. So once we are able to understand the intricacies of why there is a need to groom ourselves and what is basic elementary literacy and numeracy, then from class 3 onwards, and I'm sure every school will have to have their more effective measures because it's a very fast changing world which is happening now. So experiential learning has to become the more focused, and the weightage on experiential learning should be higher than being able to write the answer. Subject enrichment activities, the attitude of the child, the way, because I still remember during that time when I was a student, when we were giving the marks in our report card. So there was two types of grades which were given to us. One was on achievement and one was on efforts. So if I'm enjoying myself, I might not be having the ability to get 98%, but my effort could be A+, but be only C. But for my effort and for understanding, I might be later using those concepts more effectively in life, because I did my research, I made my notes, I created, the models, I went for the field trip, I interacted with people, I defined and I discussed my learning, with my peer. But when it came to, unfortunately, it was so much emphasis was given on the writing part and being able to express yourself through writing. So I think assessment pattern should be a 360 degrees assessment of the child. And when we talk about collaborative, then again, various post-scholastic and scholastic aspects should be collaborative together. And ultimately, child should be thinking about that the learning which he is taking should be later used when it will come to his chance of giving back to the world. When he would be contributing back, working for the betterment of the society. So assessment should not be only summative and mark-based, but the effort, the planning, which of course has to be done through the teachers, and the teacher's ability to bring that curiosity. And as you said, bringing everybody to the same platform. So differentiation should be adopted. Assessment into consideration, because it should not be that because a child is not getting good marks or the child is not comprehending because of his or her handicap, basically withdraws from this beautiful process of learning.
Yes, I think very well said that most of the time we focus on the outcome of the project and the marks are allocated on, but as you said, the intent, the approach, the effort the child, because in every step, whether it was his envisioning, whether it was his conceptualization or abstract, abstract conceptualization, or as Cope Cycle says, reflective observation. So at each step, the child is going near to learning. The learning is happening. But so we need to shift from just looking at the outcome-based or the process-based. So my, and you spoke about experiential learning, which I think is the only way out if we need to hone these skills. So experiential learning is going to be the great change maker. And the other thing what I feel is also when it comes to teacher, it's very important that when the teacher is curating a lesson plan or the teacher needs to integrate it with the right kind of competencies that subject is going to, the child is going to develop through that subject. So my take on this would be that the content becomes less important, or the concept is more, content is less, but along with that concept, competencies become very important. Sir, तो ये class के अंदर क्या इतना scope होता है teachers के पास that they can, tweak their assessment patterns? Do you think rubrics use हो सकते हैं? कुछ tools बता दीजिए जिसमें, maybe rubrics, especially I know, senior classes, the bottlenecks becomes narrower, but especially for classes from 6 to 8 onwards, where teacher can explore, there is no pressure from the CBSE, and they can always omit something and add something, if that would be just in a line or two. So should they use tools? Rubric karna chahiye ki kya?
Definitely. It is very important, when we are telling about how much learning has happened. So learning basically becomes fathomless. So depending on the languages, if they are being assessed, or social studies being assessed, or we are assessing more of the left brain activities like sciences or mathematics. So here, basically, when we are talking about collaborative approach in assessment, when we talk about project-based assessment, when it comes to children taking their questionnaire, making their questionnaire and going for field trips, only making a report, but then explaining their report, that how much they have been able to, if suppose it was an industrial survey, or if suppose it was agricultural survey, reaching and understanding about the patterns in which agriculture has been practiced, the problems the farmers have faced, and the suggestions they have given in the end, so that the problems can be bridged. And at the end of the day, that activity has actually benefited the stakeholders, on which the project was made. Now, this type of projects, this type of assessment tool, and giving them the real lifelike situation, especially in 6th, 7th, 8th, where we are now emphasizing that children should be given vocational skills, and activities like this should be promoted and given more weightage. So schools have to develop, and earlier, basically, because a written exam, especially in the board, used to have almost a weightage of 80%. And internally, their approach was having only 20% weightage.
Yes.
I think pretty reverse its trend. At the end of the day, the children should be not only seeking answers, rather they should be giving solutions. So whatever activity we have done, whatever things which have been planned in the school, the entire formative approach towards assessment should be immediately implemented, even making the questions, right questions, which are open-ended questions, which are coming through maybe MCQs and computer-based testing. This is what all the schools should be thinking about very seriously now.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. I think,
So I think I would add.
yeah,
something.
please, Lakshmi. Yes, please
I
go
think
on.
we have different AI assessment tools. So it's like each student, we have a
Little louder. Lakshmi,
For
little
each
louder.
student, yeah, I think it's okay now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for each student, it's like we have a whole database of them. It's like maybe about their skills, about their marks, from the initial point they are here, to about the club activities, everything they're doing. So we have different types of tools, like our networking department, computational engineering department. So all these departments used to take sessions based on AI tools. So last week also we have conducted a workshop for teachers across the country, where we have given them a practical exposure. We literally made them sat in our lab and made them understand what they can do, how they can create this thing, how evaluation process is happening. So we are also here to support the schools or the teachers, the faculties, everybody on integrating this technology when it comes to the assessment part.
Thank you so much. I think that's such a, it's very important for the people around to know. First thing, awareness that what all is happening around us. Now, not taking too much of or eating upon too much of the time of my young panelist moderators, Zuha and Drishti, because they've been, it is a big thing. It requires a lot of confidence, a lot of communication skills, and they are ready to take the stage. And over to Zuha and Drishti, and they'll be moderating the next segment of this webisode. And Zuha and Drishti, I would just like to say that Salam ma'am is not here. So, there've been connectivity issues. She's not been able to. Secondly, I would encourage the audience to please write your questions. And if you want to, share an opinion, you want to ask a question, please write it in the chat box and we shall unmute you to, share your beliefs or ask questions. Over to Zuha and Drishti. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Good evening to one and all present here. First of all, thank you, Divyani ma'am, for giving us this opportunity. And special thanks to Edu interns for giving us this wonderful platform. I'm honored to be a part of this discussion. It's me, Zoha Jafri. I'm in class 12, and I would like to address my question to Ms. Lakshmi Madhavan. Ma'am, according to you, what specific skills should we focus on developing to navigate the digital aspects to a VUCA world effectively?
Yes, can you just repeat? Yeah.
Sure, ma'am. Ma'am, according to you, what specific skills should we focus on developing to navigate the digital aspects of the VUCA world effectively?
So the first thing is to all the students, maybe to all the educators who are here. So the one thing I want is something like to be aware about what is happening around. That's the first thing. Even now also a lot of people don't know the basics, the background, what is happening in ChatGPT or what is happening, which all fields are using this AI. So as kids, you have, I think you have time to, you will be using the social media and all the other platforms. So you have time to deviate it to something which is going to help you a lot, maybe in the career. Just research about small things that's happening around. So what's behind ChatGPT, how it is working. So how is the coding happening? I know a lot of kids are very good at coding, maybe from 3rd to, I would say 10th or something. I have seen a lot of students who do coding better than me, I would say. So being from the computer science background, so when I'm with kids, I have seen this. So make use of whatever resources you have, understand the new technologies that are there, where different fields where this is being used. Try to do the coding. There are a lot of platforms which provide you resources. Lot of platforms are there. So just take a course, maybe a free course, maybe 5 or 6 hour course. So instead of wasting or instead of deviating to something else, take that as an opportunity, maybe half an hour or 30 minutes in a week. That will be pretty enough, I think. So maybe in 4 weeks, you'll be able to understand something. So, and never think that somebody will come to teach you about everything that's happening around. We all have a role in your life, but it's to some extent. So when you come to a university, when you come to a college, when you join there, nobody will be with you saying that, yeah, you need to study. Study, there is an exam coming. You need to explore this. This is a new opportunity. There is a project coming. Something has happened in that sector. Understand it. Nobody will be there with you. And even in the higher education sector, your teachers will be of different standard. I know you are in 12th, so that's why I thought I will be saying this. The teachers will be of different level. They'll not be like these teachers will come to you and ask for everything. It's an entirely different atmosphere. So you can come, talk to us, ask your doubts, but it's your responsibility to understand, to evaluate the things, to understand what's happening around and to update yourself. That's very important because no company will ask you, yeah, maybe the basic reasoning or the basic computer science that have studied. But in the face-to-face interviews, they'll understand whether you know what's happening around. They'll ask you simple questions, maybe something which is not related to your curriculum also, which are subject you have studied. So be open to the things that's happening around. Try to improve yourself. Try to experiment yourself of the new things. Whatever it is, even if it's not of technology sector, try to experiment. Study new courses. Have the courage to take up new courses. And even if it fails also, it's completely fine. So have that courage and yeah. So I hope I have answered. Thank you. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, ma'am. Over to you, Drishti.
I think you're on mute. Yeah.
Yes. I would like to thank Edudevs to give me this opportunity. And I'm Drishti from class 12 from Meridian Madhapur. And this question is for you, Lakshmi ma'am. My question is, how can we as students contribute to the transformation of our educational system to better prepare ourselves and our future and the future generations for VUCA world?
Okay. So the one thing is, yeah, this is just a similar sort of thing I have answered to Suha also. It's something called learning by doing. We all have that fear of doing new things, right? So during your age, I am like a very, I would say shy person. I'll not come to the public. I'll not do these type of things. I would really appreciate that you kids are here moderating, asking questions to the people. So you already have a lot of abilities, lot of skills with you. So now the second thing is, don't be hesitated towards anything that's new, and always practice this concept called learning by doing. You have to start, you have to take something, you have to start doing it, just have that initiative ability in you. Yeah, maybe sometimes in our class, yeah, who will do this? Maybe a teacher will ask a question. So a lot of people will say everybody will not respond. It's like, yeah, sitting. Maybe one or maybe at least two will respond. Yeah, I'll take this, I'll do this. So have that attitude towards everything that's in your life, and the skills that will automatically come to you if you are open towards the things, if you're happy in doing things, if you're ready to learn. And learning is not just a one-day process. It's just even if the skills, whether it's critical thinking, whether it's I would say communication, collaboration. I know you have been working in teams. You'll have different houses. You have been doing projects, maybe the cultural activities or the sports you'll have, or you'll work with teams, right? So it's something that will happen, or that will have, it's just a joint effort of your education or a joint part of your education. So it happens hand in hand, but you have to be open to everything and you have to start taking initiation. So yes, I think.
Yes, Drishti, I hope Lakshmi ma'am has managed to answer your question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If
That
there is
was
anything
very
that you can ask, yeah.
Zuha, you can ask your question.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir, my question to you is, how will the transition to a Vuca-focused education affect our current curriculum and examination system?
Well, very good question, Zuha. In fact, you see, when we try to make systems, they should be convenient and it should be sufficing the need of the hour. So at this stage, the new education policy is also being rolled out. And the entire educational community basically is in a experimentative phase. And when we are talking about, as Lakshmi ma'am was talking about, learning by doing, more emphasis on practical skills, more emphasis on functional skills, more emphasis on using the 21st century skills, when we talk about digital technology, to understand the concept and should be able to use them effectively when the time comes for us to contribute our bit towards this world. So you see, some of you who are pursuing medical sciences, I don't know what subject you have taken, Zuha, but if you're going towards medical sciences, so the world does not stop if you don't become a doctor. But there are thousands of other fields which are emerging, which you should know, and you can make the difference. If you're going towards engineering, so there is no end to engineering, as so much of development is taking place. And, when it comes to these youngsters like you people, you are way ahead when it comes to using these 21st century skills because you're born in that. You are more sort of adaptive to the changes which are happening. So there is no way that one should be a little worried about, but then we have to be more compassionate towards things because you all belong to wonderful schools. You are very educated. You are very confident. You are showing those skills, which talks about a very good, strong, impressive personality. And you both have wonderful individuality, for which success is almost surely written on your destiny. But then India is a very vast country with a lot of differences, so we have to think about from the broader perspective. So what basically will happen, when still children are preferring to go into that system which take you and make you successful through for IITs, for JEE examination. So when you're doing hands-on learning, when you're making projects, when you're explaining things, when you're making field trips, when you're showing your genuine interest towards whatever you are wanting to do, and then ultimately you take that, this is what the new education policy is talking about. This is what the new, Vuca world would like us to be prepared with. So be open to the changes which are happening, accept them. First thing I said, again, I repeat, accept them in your mind. It has happened. And now we have to change ourselves, take this approach, and then contribute our bit to make this world a better place.
Thank you so much, sir. That was very insightful. Over to you, Drishti.
Thank you, sir. My next question to you, sir, is as students, how can we actively foster our own emotional intelligence and resilience within and outside the classroom?
Excellent questions. In fact, we are one of those rare schools, which have adopted the social and economic emotional learning curriculum to prep kids, in our curriculum, school curriculum. It is very close to my heart. And you see, staying happy should be the highest priority of a person. Living a happy life should be the first priority. But stress, pressure, anxiety, depression, addiction towards mobile, addiction towards substance abuse. This is also another black truth which is prevailing in the society. So you see, choosing good friends, very important. Choose good friends who are into healthy habits. Your digital technology, your internet access and access to information is like a two-edged sword. So when it comes to gamification, when it comes to getting knowledge, when it comes to doing your work, it is very important. But wasting your time on internet is another addiction which has come up, where your dopamine and serotonin is increasing. It's not your fault, you are getting addicted to it. So so good eating habits, good sleeping, having good friends to motivate you. Also basically playing sports. If you are now having stress now that you're in class 12 and cutoff percentages are going at 97, 98%, even simple things, which basically reach which you have to discover yourself. What are your interests? What are your hobbies? What are your passion? Pursue them. Pursue them, because school has to also provide an umbrella where every aspect basically as a child should be available, which will keep you happy, which will keep you motivated, which will keep you inspired, not to get marks, not to basically go and reach institution, which Lakshmi ma'am is at this stage inspiring us to reach. But the entire life, whichever direction you take us, it should be a happy journey. And that only comes when we hear our inside and we know our inside, what interests us, and you must follow that.
Drishti, I hope sir has managed to, satiate you with all his, insight. We also have a question here by Miss Nazima. I was just seeing a question posted here. I don't know why am I not able to see it now. Yeah. Can someone unmute Miss Nazima so that she can interact? And I think this question can very well be addressed to Mr. Bhanu Pratap Pant. Can Team Edudevs unmute Miss Nazima?
Yes, ma'am. Hello, good afternoon, panel.
Good afternoon, Miss Nazima.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm a preschooler teacher. So my question is, I'm attending so many workshops and everyone is talking about so many, art and activities. But at times when I just go to my classroom, I used to just find that so many activities and I must say the tools can't, help you in preschool, because those are a very, young students and young kids. They won't able to understand what kind of open-ended question you can ask a 3+ child. They won't able to answer you. I mean,
Ma'am, I would like to give 2-3 information.
yeah.
Well, nowadays everybody is working on the foundation year curriculum, but the NCERT has also designed Jadui Pitara.
Yeah.
basically having both the actual learning learning teaching tools, and it is also having digital tools also, which is accessible free of cost, which has recently been launched, and it would be extremely helpful if you will go through it for children to understand the concept and have fun also.
Okay.
And
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your
and
answer.
secondly, Nazima ma'am, at this
Yeah.
stage, teacher's personality is the most impressionable thing
Mm.
in child
True,
learning.
true.
So and I said about planning. So you go with a proper plan, but when you are with the child, let the child do not understand that you're going through a plan. It is only
Yeah.
that you as the goddess of planning, and
Yes.
you be the role model.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Um, thank you, sir. I think what you said was so seamless and so beautiful, like a nice music symphony, that you have the content and the planning, but the most icing on the cake is a teacher, because a teacher's impression, what goes where it lasts a lifetime. There's a quote also which says, a teacher's impression lasts a lifetime. You don't know where you leave that mark on the student. So, Nazima ma'am, if you just go by the flow, create those bonds with your students, it is going to come naturally. And honestly, in preschool, it's very, very student driven. And the differentiations between students is so much that, it's just by your gut and instinct that you would naturally give them what they want. And with that, sir has already spoken about the toolkit, which is available. And thank you so much, sir. And somebody is writing, very well explained. Yes, sir, we are very fortunate to have sir with us on this particular talk show. And now we come to the end of the session. And I really don't know whether our young panelists, do you have a closure, or can I do the closure, or I really don't know, because they are, yes, Drishti and Zuha.
We would like to thank everybody who's joined the meeting, and also sir and ma'am for giving such a beautiful information and explanation about everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Drishti. And I think this is such a great exhibition of how skills, even when you're asked to do something impromptu, it's the skill, it's the confidence, is that how many of you, I would have asked impromptu even to open the camera, but you could just, take that. So the skill in today's world is so important, because life is not is a set, it doesn't have a curriculum, and every day it's a new opening, it's a new chapter. All that you can be prepared with is how to solve problems, how to manage the crisis. And that is something which in the beginning, when sir spoke about resilience, and I would add another word to your dictionary today, it is the grit. It is your ability to make things happen in times when you feel you have 100 reasons where life pushes you down. You have that one potential and ability to bounce back to life. And yes, the technology is here to stay. So technology is something which is going to be a great change maker, great enabler. Don't shirk away from technology, because and right kind of technology, I would say. So we had a great and an amazing discussion on transforming education in the Vuca world, and what are the survival skills in the Vuca world. And now at the end, I would request our esteemed panelists to please grace us with your, resting statement on today's, your take on the topic of today and any message you would want to give to your audience. I mean, you could just encapsulate it in a minute or, yeah. Yes, sir. First, I would like to hear you.
Well, when somebody asks me to define education, I say it's an all-round development of yourself, all-round development of the child. And as Karan had beautifully said, education is a manifestation of perfection, which is already present in us. So now we have to approach with a different way. That is a blended approach, where conventionally, as we were doing, we have to take help of technology to reach there even faster. So we should new change which has come. We should be not only adapting it, adopting it, but also very, very effectively welcoming it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. And Lakshmi ma'am, what is your take on today's discussion?
So learning is something called a lifelong process. So be open, embrace the changes, accept the changes, and be with technology. That is something which is very important. The commerce personnel is using it in a term called financial technology. A doctor is using it in the form of a robot in performing surgery. So it's going to be an inevitable part of life. To give that importance, understand the happenings around the world. And I hope everybody will be able to change the Vuca into the positive side of vision, understanding, clarity, and agility. So all the best to everyone here. And we teachers have a very good role to play. So yeah, thank you, Devyani ma'am. Thank you, Edudevs, for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
thank you so
sir.
much. And for me, I would just say that awareness is the beginning of transformation. We are talking about transforming education in the Vuca world. As rightly Lakshmi ma'am said, it's about vision, clarity, and agility, and about with you said that understanding. So transform your vision and upskill yourself constantly. It's important to have your concepts right. It's important to have the skills, which are also known as the survival skills, because I always feel the youth, this generation is netizens, they are the consumers, they are the trendsetters, they are the global citizens, and they are, the change makers. So it is very, very important to work towards your skills that are going to help you survive in a way where you are not just, looking at livelihood, you are becoming learners for life. And thank you so much, our young panelists, moderators today, Zuha and Drishti, and deep gratitude to Mr. Bhanu Pratap Pant and Lakshmi. We are very unfortunate that Dr. Sarla could not join us, but we really had a great discussion. And please don't go without seeing what Edudevs and Amrita has to offer. Be part of our journey to upskill yourself, whether they are online sessions or there are sessions in schools. Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham and Edudevs is always there to handhold you in your journey from good to great in this Vuca world. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir, and thank you so much, ma'am, for being part of this discussion. Amrit, Edudevs team, can we have the AV, please? Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Lakshmi ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
And I shall be in touch with you, sir, soon.
Look forward, ma'am. Look forward. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Coming and sparing this time.